This video is an introduction to circles, so it's circles level 2. We're going to be talking about radius, diameter, circumference and area. So there's a couple of formulas that you have to remember, but once you remember them it's pretty easy. We're going to go through it in class as well, so the most important things will be what we do in class, and we're going to apply it then and look at how it's applied in this video. So important notes on circles. I'm just going to draw a circle here, and I want to talk about the different parts of the circle. Okay, so if you have a circle like this, we say here in red I'm marking the center point, or in blue, sorry, it's the center point, right? So if that's the center, from the center out to the side, like that, is called the radius. And we use the letter R for radius. Okay? So it's the distance from the center of the circle out to the side. Then we also have another thing. If you go from one side of the circle through the middle and out to the other side, that's called the diameter. We use the letter D for diameter. Okay, now if you look at that, the radius goes from the center to the side. The diameter goes from one side to the center to the other side. So the diameter is actually 2 times the radius. Okay? So you can write that down, that diameter is 2 radiuses. Or you can also say that the radius is the diameter divided by 2. Alright? So if you have the radius, you multiply it by 2 to get the diameter. And if you have the diameter, you divide it by 2 to get the radius. Alright? So we'll look at that visually in a few minutes. Also, if you want to find the circumference is the distance around the outside of the circle. It's like the perimeter of the circle. Okay? Circumference. And the formula for circumference is 2 pi times r. Now pi, remember, is this number 3.14. Okay? And then, if we want the area is pi r squared. Or we can also think of it as pi times r times r. Alright, so they're the formulas you need to know. So let's refresh them quickly. If you have diameter, divide it by 2 and that gives you radius. If you have radius, multiply it by 2 and that gives you diameter. If you want to find the circumference, you multiply 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius. And if you want the area, you do pi times radius squared, or pi times radius times radius. So let's have a look at a couple of examples. We are looking here we're talking about diameter and radius. So let's draw it out. Circle here. And we're told that the radius is 7. So the radius is from the center to the side. And we're told that that's 7 centimeters. Well, if that's the case, what's the diameter? Well, remember that the diameter is double the radius because the diameter goes straight through to the other side. Okay, so it's 7 plus 7 is 14. Okay, so I'll write that down. Diameter equals 2 times the radius, which is 14 centimeters. Alright, let's look at another example down here. So the diameter in this case is 16. The diameter goes from one side to the other, 16. So what's the radius then? Remember, the radius just goes from the middle. The radius is just this part. Okay, well, we know that radius equals diameter divided by 2, which is 16 divided by 2, which is 8 centimeters. So remember to do that. If you need to draw out that picture, just to help you to understand what you're doing, no problem. Okay. So we said we wanted to find circumferences. To do that, we said we'd have to use the following formula. So we said that circumference is equal to 2 times pi times radius. Okay? So if we're looking in this case here, our radius is 5 because the radius is from the center to the side. So in this case here, the circumference equals 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times 5. Times 5, right? So you plug that into your calculator. You're going to get your answer to be 31.4 centimeters. Pretty straightforward, I think. And what about this one? So again, I'm going to write the formula out. So the circumference is 2 times pi times radius, which is 2 times 3.14 times 12. Okay, plug that in the calculator. 2 times 3.14 times 75.36. Okay, there you go. Let's go down to the next one. So again, I'm going to write the formula out. Equals 2 times pi times radius. Now if you look at this case here, what is the radius? Well, remember, I'll just erase this little piece here, I'm going to put it in red. Remember that radius is diameter divided by 2, and in this case we have the diameter, so we have to divide it by 2 to get the radius, which is 31 inches. So the circumference is 2 times 3.14 times 31. Calculator. And it's going to give you 194.68. And that's inches in this one. Okay, so you see the difference with this one here is that you're not given the radius directly, you have to find it. So again, radius is 2 times pi times r. Radius equals 50 divided by 2, which is 25. The reason we're dividing by 2 is because we have the diameter here. So C equals 2 times 3.14 times 25. And what does that give you? 157. Alright. Let's look at some area questions. So we said already, you know, I'm going to write the formula up here. Area equals pi times r, or pi r squared. Now look at these ones. We have the radius, so that's perfect. So area equals 3.14 times 38 times 38. Perfect, so you go straight into your calculator. Equals 4,534.16. And in this case, it's centimeters, but we're talking area, so centimeters squared. This one again, easy. Area equals pi times r, which equals 3.14 times 22 times 22. So, and it's going to give you 1,519.76 centimeters squared. Alright. Next, so we have area equals pi times r. Now in this case we don't have the radius, we have the diameter. So remember, radius equals diameter, which is 58 over 2, which gives you 29. Okay, and then you do area equals 3.14 times 29 times 29. Which gives you 2,640.74 meters squared. And then finally, again we have area equals. So in this case, remember that radius is 13/2, which is 6.5 or 6.5. 6.5 by 6.5. It's 132.665. And that's inches squared in this case. And that's it, we're done.